On the carriage to the village of Mosswood, Kino, Alia, and Artesia ride silently, focused on their mission for their guild. Well, actually, Kino was hungover from the night before after being in the tavern for far too long and spending all his coin on mead, and Alia just returned from a luxurious and expensive vacation to the hot springs of Dragon Peaks, which are world-renowned and offer the most incredible rejuvenation springs in the world, blessed by the magic and spirit of a fallen elder dragon. So needless to say, they were both in financial strain, which is why they had no choice but to embark on this guild quest. Artesia is the party leader, having successfully led and completed numerous quests for the guild, so naturally she was put in charge. The request came from an old woman from the village of Mosswood, having walked the entire length to the city of Mornstar that the guild is located. Actually, there are many guilds within the city, all specializing in different areas of expertise. The old woman, exhausted to the brink of nearly being fatal, gave her last bit of strength to make it to the city to put in the request, and yet, no other guild would offer to help the poor woman because the payment for the quest was considered too low. But the leader of the Werewolf Guild took pity on her, their guild leader being a humble and understanding and moral man, and thus decided to send our three protagonists to the village to investigate a most dire and unusual circumstance. Children in the village have gone missing, one by one without a trace. The old woman, exhausted and with tears in her eyes, cried out for help in the city square, sadly explaining the misfortune of her village, and being that it is so remote, they have no support from neither of this world's nations or kingdoms, and the young men of the village that went to form a party to search for the children, all disappeared as well. This is a very perplexing and disturbing situation indeed. Thus the leader of the werewolves hastily summoned and set forth the three protagonists, as they were the only ones willing to take the quest for the pay, and onward they ride with the old woman to her village. It's a good day's ride to her home, and it's miraculous that the old woman made it all the way to the city by her will alone without any assistance. All the horses in her village were used by the young men during the search for the missing children and thus vanished with them. The lady explains to our protagonists the situation of the village. So again, you mean that all the children are gone or just some? How is it that no one noticed any of them leaving? Or do you suspect maybe it could be the work of bandits or kidnapping? Asks Artesia. The old woman, still very exhausted, says wearily, our village is poor and we grow all of our own crops and make all of our own tools. We don't have anything valuable that would entice any would-be robbers or bandits, so we have no idea what misfortune has befallen our peaceful home. She starts to tear up, explaining how her granddaughter is one of the missing children, and as her only surviving family as her daughter became very ill and passed almost 5 winters ago, and her husband died during an unfortunate hunting accident in the wilds of the forest. She tells Artesia that her village is next to a vast forest that they call dark timbers, as it is very full of tall pines, and once inside, it becomes dark from shade even in daytime. They think the children may have gone missing in the forest, but they couldn't be lost as all the villagers know the forest incredibly well and routinely venture in for hunting, medicinal herbs, and for wood for cooking and building. So it's unlikely that so many would be lost, and the young men that went to look for the children started in the forest first and never returned. There were no screams or signs of distress, they simply never came back.
Very interesting, says Artesia. Well, I still say it has to be a monster or beast of some sorts. Kino says brashly. I just hope we're able to find some of the missing villagers still alive. But you may have to prepare for the worst, I'm afraid, ma'am. The old woman begins to weep softly. Kino, that's kind of harsh. Says Alea, they may still be alive, maybe they were able to find refuge and just haven't been able to get away from the beast or whatever is keeping them from escaping. Don't worry, we'll definitely rescue everyone, ma'am. Well, just wake me when we get there. Says Kino, resting with his head leaned against his blade. The rest of the ride is silent as they all patiently ride in the carriage along the rocky dirt road through the countryside with a vast mountain range view. About 4 hours pass, they start to see a pines along the route, then more and more, until finally out in the distance a huge forest upon the horizon. We're almost there, my home, Moss Wood, proclaims the elder woman. Finally, says Kino as he lifts up his head to see the imposing forest of pines, it's time to get to work. Once in the village after disembarking the carriage, one thing becomes apparent to all three protagonists. It is eerily quiet. No birds, no wildlife, literally no sounds, just silence, besides and the gentle sound of wind blowing through the trees and grass. Okay, this is creepy grimacing face, whispers Alea to Kino. I know, right? It's like we just stepped into a void. The old lady is silent but visibly upset. Where is everyone? She gasps. John. Herman. Wendy. There's no response, just silence. She looks very upset now. This can't be happening. There were still people here when I left. Someone has to be here. Artesia whistles and throws up a fist, a sign to prepare for possible danger. Kino is a swordman. He wields a great two-handed enchanted blade he calls Dealbreaker. Alea is a rogue and also a novice mage with some magic in both mysticism and light destruction. She wields two enchanted daggers, Horn and Halo. One has a deep red blade with a black edge, the other a bright silver with a gold outline along the edge, and Artesia is the battle mage, honing a holy sword and magic shield. Her sword is Trinity, her shield, Holy War. She can cast both healing, destruction, and buff/support magics. Alea, protect our host. Kino, let's check the houses. Kino agrees tacitly and leads the way. Artesia behind him a few paces. Soli Deo Gloria crown, she whispers, which is her magic incantation to unlock her shield's potential. It starts to glow, a faint brightness, with a small rainbow effect from the gleam. Kino walks to the first home, a small house with a side fence for what probably held a farm animal or horse possibly. Although it's empty now, the door is shut. He uses the hilt of his sword to knock on the door with 3 strong bunts. No answer. He kicks the door in and carefully walks inside. Artesia holds point at the door's entrance. He checks the side room, nothing. He comes back. Artesia nods her head behind him. He looks. There is a fire still burning under a wood stove. Someone was here not too long ago. Whatever happened was recent. He walks back out and diagonally to the house across the road. Again 3 knocks with his sword's hilt. No answer. Again he kicks in the door. Checks the rooms. This time he notices food on the table of the home, some type of porridge in a small wooden bowl. It still seems somewhat fresh, but again no signs of anyone or a struggle. As they check each house along the village road, Alea and the old woman carefully move step by step closer behind. Alea being ever aware of her surroundings, listening for any sounds, any signs of movement. But it's just an uncomfortable silence still. No birds or wildlife, nothing. Eventually Kino and Artesia have checked all the homes and regroup with Alea and the old woman in the center of the village. Very uncanny. Says Artesia, I have a bad feeling about this. Adds Alea, this definitely isn't an ordinary situation. What should we do? They decide to head back to the old woman's house to discuss a strategy as it is quickly becoming nightfall. Inside the old woman's cottage, Kino stands vigilant at the door and keeps a watchful eye as Artesia casts both a healing and calming spell over the old woman to help her sleep. She is beyond exhausted as she hasn't slept since leaving her village. Once she's resting, they group inside her home. Artesia and Alea sit at a small kitchen table while Kino stands firm watching the village for any signs of life as night falls. So, I'm officially freaked out. Says Kino, obviously there's something more to this than just a simple monster or beast as I first thought, and I was hoping this would be an easy job for once. He sighs, what's the plan then, boss? Artesia clasps her hands together to rest her chin and think. Well, whatever is the cause of this is in the woods without a doubt. It may be a plague or some form of enchantment, or maybe something even more sinister, maybe not, it's too soon to say. She exhales, I think we should wait until morning and then scout the woods at first light break. I second that. Exclaims Alea. Kino just nods, then says, I'll keep watch, you two should rest, I'm used to being up at night anyway. Artesia nods back. Okay, I'll switch with you in a few hours, and then Alea you can take the last watch until dawn. Everyone agrees and Artesia and Alea both retire for the night. This is the end of the story for now. What dangers await in the deep, unforgiving forest known as the Dark Timbers for our protagonists? All shall soon be revealed, and a sinister plot will be unveiled. Until the next tale, I bid thee farewell. And I didn't try to make that rhyme. It just happens from time to time. See what I mean, winking face.